President Xi Jinping arrives in Vietnam in his first overseas trip this year. Chief Executive John Lee highlights Hong Kong's rise as an innovation and technology hub at the Global Tech Forum, first time held in the city. And Macau's Chief Executive Sam Hou-fai carries on with his predecessors' practice of giving 10,000 patacas cash to permanent residents in his maiden policy address. Good evening. You are watching Cable News. I'm Evelyn Bai. President Xi Jinping kicked off his three-nation trip to Southeast Asia at the first stop, Vietnam. The Chinese leader warned that trade war or tariff war has no winner, and protectionism offers no way out, without mentioning the United States specifically. Anna Chen has the story.
President Xi arrived in Hanoi around noon, received by Vietnam's President Loan Quang at the Noi Bai International Airport. In a written statement upon arrival, Xi said he looked forward to in-depth exchanges with Vietnamese leaders on issues of strategic significance. He also expected to take his two-day state visit as an opportunity to deepen the building of the China-Vietnam community with a shared future. Xi then attended a welcome ceremony hosted by To Lam, General Secretary of the Communist Party of Vietnam Central Committee. Xi's visit coincided with the 75th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between China and Vietnam. The two countries are set to sign about 40 agreements across multiple sectors. Ahead of his first overseas visit this year, Xi published a signed article in a Vietnamese newspaper, calling for stronger ties with Vietnam on trade and supply chains amid disruptions caused by U.S. tariffs. Our two countries should resolutely safeguard the multilateral trading system, stable global industrial and supply chains, and open and cooperative international environment, Xi added. Meanwhile, in hope of avoiding punishing U.S. tariffs, Vietnam is reportedly prepared to crack down on Chinese goods being shipped to the U.S. via its territory and will tighten controls on sensitive exports to China. Xi will visit Malaysia and Cambodia from Tuesday to Friday. The two China's trading partners are also facing steep U.S. duties and have begun reaching out to Washington to seek a reprieve. Anna Chen, Cable News.
The inaugural World Internet Conference Asia-Pacific Summit opened today in Hong Kong, marking the first time the Global Tech Forum is being hosted in the city. With over 1,000 government officials, industry leaders, and experts from 30 countries and regions attending the two-day event, Chief Executive John Lee said it underscores Hong Kong's rising stature as an international innovation and technology hub. Kun Ting Yang reports.
In his opening address, Chief Executive John Lee emphasized the summit's significance in showcasing the city's unique advantages under the One Country, Two Systems framework.
This cardinal governing principle gives Hong Kong the best of both worlds: access to the vast opportunities of the mainland market while maintaining the advantages of our unmatched international connectivity, our common law system, free flow of information, capital, goods, and people.
He highlighted the government's commitment to advancing artificial intelligence, including a $1 billion allocation to establish an AI research institute aimed at accelerating new quality productive forces for national development. Zheng Yanxiong, director of the Central Government Liaison Office in Hong Kong, urged the city to leverage its strengths in research, institutional flexibility, and global connectivity to spearhead digital integration across Asia-Pacific. Themed integration of AI and digital technologies shaping the future, jointly building a community with a shared future in cyberspace. The summit features forums on AI applications, digital finance, smart governance, and cybersecurity. Kun Ting Yang, Cable News.
The city is gearing up for its busy Easter exodus, with a whopping 6.04 million passengers set to flood borders from Thursday to Monday. But local restaurants and shops are feared left grappling with their quietest stretch of the year, prompting many to ask landlords for rent reduction. Quentin Yang again tells us more.
The Immigration Department forecasted departure peak on Friday, with 760,000 scrambling through land checkpoints, an 80% surge from Qingming Festival's rush. Meanwhile, Monday will mark the busiest return day at over 618,000 arrivals. Yet, while arrival and departure halls buzz with activity, the city's catering sector faces a stark reality. Citing last year's experience, Simon Wan, chairman of the Hong Kong Federation of Restaurant and Related Trades, warned that the exodus of locals could slash restaurant revenues by over 30% compared to normal days, with some even halving sales. Bookings are far below expectations, and the outflow of residents will deliver a severe blow, Wan said in a radio interview, noting that even the recent Qingming holiday saw weaker than anticipated sales. While an influx of mainland tourists, boosted by relaxed multi-entry visa policies, has brought some relief, their impact remains limited. Many day trippers from the Greater Bay Area opt for snack and dash visits, contributing to what one described as a downgraded consumption trend that fails to offset the loss of local patrons. To survive the hollowed-out streets, some eateries have extended operating hours, while landlords facing vacant premises have slashed rents by about 10% to retain tenants. Quentin Yang, Cable News.
The Tourism Board said the city has welcomed around 12.2 million visitors in the first quarter, rising 9% year-on-year and hitting a post-pandemic quarterly high. Celebrating a number of traditional festivals that falls in May, a drone show will light up the sky over Wan Chai on May 1st. First quarter arrivals included 9.25 million mainland travelers, rising 6%, while 2.98 million non-mainland visitors were logged, jumping 18%. In March alone, the Tourism Board recorded 3.82 million visitors to the city, an increase of 12% over last year. Following the Hong Kong Super March, the board launched a new promotional campaign titled Cultural Beat. The festivities will include a drone show in Wan Chai Temporary Promenade at 8 p.m. on Labor Day, celebrating the Tin Hau Festival, Tam Kung Festival, and Cheung Chao Bun Festival. In addition, the International Dragon Boat races will kick off on June 7th, catching global eyes. Macau's Chief Executive Sam Hou-fai delivered his inaugural policy address for the 2025 fiscal year, pledging to maintain welfare expansions for vulnerable groups and diversify an economy heavily reliant on gaming and tourism. Quentin Yang has more details.
Continuing a long-standing policy dubbed candy distribution to support households, the Macau SAR government will hand out 10,000 patacas cash for permanent residents and 6,000 patacas for non-permanent residents. Meanwhile, in a bid to tackle the city's dual challenges of a shrinking birth rate and aging population, the government pledged to adopt new measures, including a monthly 1,500 patacas childcare allowance for families with children under 3, alongside increased subsidies for childbirth, marriage, elderly pensions, and senior allowances. These steps ensure resources are directed precisely where they're needed to protect our youngest and oldest citizens, Sam said, framing the policies as urgent responses to demographic strains. The city chief also warned of uncertainty in Macau's post-pandemic recovery, citing slow progress in diversifying an economy where gaming still accounts for over 50% of GDP. He pointed to neighboring Hengqin Island, a Guangdong-Macau cooperation zone, as critical to reducing reliance on casinos, but admitted development has fallen short of expectations. There remains a gap for Hengqin to drive economic diversification, Sam acknowledged, adding that Macau's deep-rooted structural issues and rising public spending could force budget revisions. In response, the government will require casino operators to invest in the city's non-gaming sectors, as well as in Hengqin, with stricter oversight of contractual obligations. Quentin Yang, Cable News.
2 days after the U.S. administration exempted electronic imports from reciprocal tariffs, U.S. President Donald Trump clarified the exemptions could be short-lived and he will implement tariffs on semiconductors in the not-distant future. Anna Chen reports.
The White House announced late on Friday the exclusion of some electronic products from steep reciprocal tariffs on China. Not surprisingly, Trump's back and forth on his tariff policy again caused confusion, with his social media post on Sunday suggesting there was no tariff exception and those products are subject to the existing 20% fentanyl tariffs. He said they are just moving to a different tariff bucket, warning that no one was getting off the hook. Trump also promised to launch a national security trade investigation into the semiconductor sector. Later on Air Force One, he further explained his plan.
The tariffs will be in place in the not-distant future because, as you know, like we did with steel, like we did with automobiles, like we did with aluminum, which are now fully on, we'll be doing that with semiconductors, with chips, and numerous other things. And that'll take place in the very near future.
Trump said flexibility is needed when asked about possible tariffs on smartphones like iPhones. Nobody should be so rigid, he added. Earlier, U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick made clear that critical technology products from China would face separate new duties, along with semiconductors, within the next 2 months. Sparing electronics was expected to benefit big tech companies like Apple and Samsung, and chip makers like Nvidia, though the uncertainty of future tariffs may lead to more wild swings in global stock markets. Anna Chen, Cable News.
Now let's take a look at the stock markets. The Hang Seng Index ended the day up 502 points. Top ADX stocks of the day. Checker Fund was up 50 cents. Alibaba was up $5.20. SMIC was up 80 cents. And Meituan was up $2.40. Foreign exchange against the Hong Kong dollar. Canadian dollar 5.58. Australian dollar 4.89. China's exports rose sharply in March after factories rushed out shipments before the latest U.S. tariffs took effect. But an escalating Sino-U.S. trade war has darkened the outlook for factories and growth in the world's second biggest economy. Best Leung reports.
Exports from mainland rose 12.4% year-on-year to $313.9 billion, a 5-month high, easily beating consensus estimate of some 3% growth. Exports grew a combined 2.3% in January to February. Inbound shipments fell 4.3%, compared with a 2% drop estimation and a steep contraction of 8.4% in the first 2 months of the year. That led to a trade surplus of $102.64 billion for March. Exports to the United States surged by 9.08% in March, compared to the 2.3% growth logged in the January to February period. Shipments to the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, China's largest trading partner by block, rose by 11.55%. General Administration of Customs spokesperson Liu Daliang said China has made steady progress in recent years to diversify its foreign trade markets and deepen industrial and supply chain cooperation with partners around the world, adding that these efforts not only have supported its trade partners' development, but also enhanced China's own resilience. He emphasized that China's vast domestic market remains a strong backup for the economy, adding that the country will turn domestic certainty into a buffer against global volatility. Best Leung, Cable News.
On to the weather now. Mainly fine with relatively low visibility in some areas. Hot and very dry during the day, with temperatures ranging from 21 to 29 degrees in the urban areas. Mainly fine and dry on Wednesday. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. That's our news tonight. I'm Evelyn Bai. Thanks for watching and good night.